Yes guys, and welcome to another video. Now this is something a little bit different. I usually just stick solely with Sunderland, week in, week out, video in, video out, but it was suggested to me via a comment a couple of days ago if I wanted to start doing weekly Premier League predictions, and I thought it's quite a decent idea really. It's a bit refreshing rather than me talking about Sunderland all the time. So if you are interested in this, if you like the concept, if you enjoy this type of content, and hit the like button for me, it shows that you want me to keep on doing it. Of course, I won't say I'm going to do this every single week on a specific day because my work schedule is incredibly inconvenient away from YouTube, so it might just pop up on random days during the week. But if you do want me to keep doing this, then let me know in the comments down below. Now, of course, you're probably not going to agree with everything I'm about to say in the video. You're not going to agree with every single prediction, which is absolutely fine, but please just be respectful with your comments down below. We're all friends here. We're all friends here. Unless you're a mag. But we do have a lot of games to get through, so we are going to get cracking on with it. Again, leave the like on the video, it would be massively appreciated. And subscribe if you are new. There are still so many of you guys that are watching regularly. I hope you're enjoying and you're not yet subscribed. It'd be so appreciated. But let's get cracking. Starting off with West Ham versus Chelsea, of course. They do play on Friday. Now, West Ham, of course, they did take on Sunderland, my team. They took on Sunderland on the opening day, and they weren't really impressive to me. Of course, anyone can have a bad day. Sunderland just coming up, there was a really electric atmosphere, which gave the team an extra sort of 10-15%. But they just didn't impress me whatsoever. As I say, anyone can have a bad day. It just felt like their only real sort of tactic was trying to get it to Jarrod Bowen, and if he can't do anything, then the team can't do anything. Of course, they did get in behind Sunderland a couple of times. However, when they start to get frustrated, they start to commit plays forward. Players start to leave huge gaping holes in the across that back line. And I think against a team like Chelsea, they're going to be made to pay for it. Of course, we did make them pay for it in that second half at the Stadium Light, where I think, you know, the first half we're kind of feeling them out. We sat back, we absorbed a lot of pressure, which we're quite happy at doing. We're quite good at doing that. Then catch them out on the break, and that's where we look the most threatening. Second half, we made them pay by scoring 3 goals. And against a team like Chelsea, who are not Sunderland, I think it isn't going to get much easier. Now, that's not to say I don't think West Ham are going to come out fighting, because they're going to be fuming. They're going to be really amped up to try and rectify the opening day result against Sunderland, and at home as well, the first home game of the season. I'm sure the crowd will be right up for it. But I just feel if they concede, particularly early doors, then that can turn quite badly against them. But I have gone with a Chelsea 3-1 win. I do think West Ham will get themselves on the score sheet, maybe through Jarrod Bowen. That's just my prediction, but I do think Chelsea have enough. Of course, Chelsea did draw against Crystal Palace last time out, where I think Palace actually played very, very well. But Chelsea, particularly in that second half, they were so wasteful. And I think if they just start to tweak that, be a little bit more clinical, I think they will get the job done against West Ham. Now, next up, we do have Manchester City versus Spurs, which is a mouth-watering fixture already, to be honest with you. Man City, of course, they had a great win last time out, 4-0 against Wolves. Spurs had a great opening day victory as well. Both teams, they're flying. Of course, it's only one game in, so you can't get too carried away, but I think this is going to be such an exciting game. I can only see goals in this one, and it really is a flip of a coin as to who's going to win this one, because Spurs look really exciting going forward. Of course, they had to really work for their goals against Burnley, and I don't think Burnley were actually that bad that day. I think the scoreline for Spurs probably flattered them. But again, I'm going to keep using the word clinical in this league. You have to be clinical, and that's exactly what Spurs were on that opening day. But Man City, with the signings they've made, you know, Reinders in there as well. I think he looked absolutely phenomenal. One of the best debuts I've ever seen in the Premier League. He was outstanding. I think at home as well, the first home game, I'm going to just give the edge to Manchester City, and I'm going to go for a City 3-2 win. I think it'll be an absolutely class game to watch for the neutral. But for a Spurs fan, it might end up being a City win. Now, up next, we do have Bournemouth at home taking on Wolves. Bournemouth, for me, I think they look fantastic going forward, like Semenyo. But Wolves, of course, they got that battering against Manchester City. However, I don't think they look that bad. I think they actually look pretty decent. They were just quite wasteful and didn't obviously work the keeper enough, maybe you could argue. I don't know what it is. I think Bournemouth, for me, I'm jumping between 2-1 Bournemouth or 2-1 Wolves. I think Wolves are going to be desperate after that battering against City. I think they're going to be desperate. You can say the same thing against Bournemouth. They really did give a good account of themselves against Liverpool. I can just see somehow Wolves scraping this one. I'm going to go for a 2-1 Wolves win. I don't know why. It's probably going to be more in favour of Bournemouth, to be fair here. And I can see why with their attacking threats. They look fantastic, particularly on the break. The pace they've got going forward is fantastic. but I can just see it. I don't know what it is. I know it is just a prediction. It's just my opinion. You can tell me I'm a knobhead down below if you want to, but I'm going to go with Wolves. Surprise maybe to a degree. 2-1 win. Now we've got Brentford versus Aston Villa. Now Aston Villa, of course, they took on Newcastle. They took on the Mags last time out. It was a 0-0 draw. They got a man sent off with sort of 25 minutes to go or so, and they still managed to hold out for the 0-0 draw. I think Newcastle probably had the best of the first half, but Villa, they grew into it in the second. And Villa with the likes of Tielemans, Watkins, Morgan Rodgers, who's been linked with moves away as well. They're just so dangerous. When they want to just turn it on by the flick of a switch, they can be absolutely lethal. Brentford did not impress me really at all against Forest last weekend, who of course were a very good team in their own right, but they just didn't look fantastic to me. They do have their own threats, but I just think that Villa are going to be far too strong. I'm not going to go for a massive thumping, but I am going to go for a Villa 2-0 win against Brentford. Now, my team, it's Burnley against Sunderland. Now, I don't think this is going to be a walk in the park. Of course, Burnley, they did get a spanking from Spurs, as I said, but I don't think Burnley did give a bad account of themselves. Thought they were actually half decent. They just didn't look threatening in anywhere near enough. Sunderland, on the other hand, they're very good at absorbing pressure and then getting them on the break. So it's going to be interesting. I don't think it's going to be anywhere near as easy as that some fans have made out. Just because we beat West Ham 3-0 at home, they're going to be back at Turf Moor. They're going to have their fans behind them, giving them that extra 10-15% that I alluded to earlier. I don't think it's going to be anywhere near as easy. It's going to be a different beast. West Ham, of course, they're a solidified, stable Premier League club. They had the confidence to try and get at us. I think Burnley will... It'll be a mix and match of, I can't see what kind of Burnley's going to turn up on the day. Is it going to be a Burnley that are going to sit back? Because that's what we kind of like to do. We don't necessarily control games, although we did in periods in that second half against West Ham on the opening day. But for this one, I can just see it really being a chess match. And I can't put a winner either way. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw, and I will take it. As a Sunderland fan, I would absolutely take a point in an away game against Burnley. They're going to be... They should probably take positives from that opening day because, like I said, I don't think they're that bad. They just didn't threaten enough. But I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw, and I would take a point on the road. Absolutely. Now, we've got Arsenal against Leeds. Now, of course, Arsenal got that win against Manchester United last time out, and Leeds got a fantastic win at home against Everton. Now, I'm not trying to knock a team at all, Leeds or Burnley or any team going up, but watching that game between Leeds and Everton, it was a poor game to watch. I think that crowd, again, I'm going to keep on alluding to that, but of course, Ellen Road, it can be a real electric atmosphere, as it was at like the Stadium of Light, the first game of the season where a team comes up. It's new, it's exciting, it's almost a celebration in itself, isn't it? That really carried them at times. They do have quality in that team, of course they do, but they just didn't threaten enough for me, and Everton were horrendous. And I don't think they were too pretty on the eye either, Leeds. But Arsenal, back on their home turf, they're just going to have far too much for them, in my opinion, with the players they've got. And they're going to be buzzing after that win against Manchester United. And I think Manchester United will feel really feel robbed after that game against Arsenal, because I think they look really decent as well. But I'm going to go with an Arsenal 3-0 win this time against Leeds. Now, Palace take on Forest on the Sunday. Palace, of course, they got that draw against Chelsea. I think they played really well. Of course, they were, I'm going to use the word robbed again. They were robbed of that free kick by Eze, who it was a fantastic free kick, and it was disallowed for whatever ridiculous reason. And they played really, really well. They limited Chelsea. Of course, Chelsea came into it towards the back end of the game, and they were making chance after chance after chance. But all in all, Crystal Palace look fantastic going forward. Of course, we like to Mateta. Eze, as I mentioned, I know that he's been linked away. It looks like he is actually going to be going for a medical at Arsenal later this week, potentially, if rumours are to be believed. But Forest as well, a brilliant 3-1 win. They look fantastic going forward. Wood is in form already, scoring a couple of goals. And I just can't decide between the two. It's a flip of a coin again. So I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw here. I'm going to sit on the fence with that one because I just can't choose. I think they're both really dangerous teams, but I'm going to go for 1-1. Palace at home. I think I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. Now, we do have Fulham against Manchester United. Now, Fulham did not impress me at all last time out. Of course, they managed to just scrape a point in the final few moments, which is a great achievement in itself. But throughout that game, they just didn't impressed me in their previous game, whereas Manchester United, of course, have got a new look to them with like Mbeumo, Cunha. Of course, you've got former Sunderland fan favourite Amad Diallo, who wasn't starting the last game, which is just mental to me. I think he's just such a class player. I hope we stick in a 50 million bid and get him back, but I don't think that's going to happen. But I think Manchester United, against a team that isn't Arsenal, of course, Fulham, they're at home now. They'll want to get the 3 points on the board. And Manchester United, they just don't look like the same Manchester United we saw last season, where they were just utterly horrendous throughout almost. But I'm going to go for a 3-1 Manchester United win with this one. Again, let me know down in the comments if you think I'm wrong. I bet there's a load of them in here that you think I'm wrong, but it is just my opinion. Let's not lose our shit. Now, next up, we do have Everton against Brighton. Now, I was really struggling with this one because, as I mentioned earlier, I think Everton looked really, really poor against Leeds, but they're going to be playing in their new ground, which is a beautiful ground, by the way, so I'm sure that crowd will be right up for it. And I've mentioned maybe 3 or 4 times now that sort of extra 10-15%. Everton, they're a great club. I'm a big fan of that club. I love the way they do things. Very traditional club, heading into a modern era in that beautiful new ground. However, Brighton, for me, I love watching Brighton. Their fluid attacking football is really, really nice. Their counter-attack as well, you know, the bodies they just pile forward and the pace they've got going forward, I think it'll be too much. I think it's going to be a very, very tight affair, but I'm just edging this one towards Brighton by a goal to 0. I am sorry, Everton fans, as I say, I'm a big fan of that club. I love the way they go about things. However, just going off the viewing I saw against Leeds anyway, I just thought he looked really poor. Bringing Grealish on quite late on, he might get himself a start. It might totally change things against Brighton. I don't know, but just what I'm going off the first match day of the season, it was a really, really poor showing. But like I said, home ground, I don't know. It'll be a close one, but I think Brighton will just about catch them out and just about get themselves 3 points with a 1-0 win. Now, the final game, the Monday game? I think it is, between the Mags, Newcastle, and Liverpool. Now, as much as I'd like to say I think Liverpool are going to wipe the floor with them, I don't think that's going to be the case. Of course, with all of this drama that's going on surrounding Alexander Isak and Liverpool, who have been interested in him, there's going to be such a hostile, ferocious affair there. And, of course, Liverpool against Bournemouth, they've shown that they do have their frailties at the back, particularly Konate, who looked absolutely shite, in my opinion. But going forward, we know how incredible they can be. But the Mags on the flip side as well, I think they're going to be at home, that crowd. I think it's just going to be a really scrappy affair, but there's going to be goals in it. I really do. There might even be a red card or two, in my opinion. I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw. As much as I'd love to say 4-5-0 to Liverpool, I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw. It could be 3-3, 3-2 either way. I don't know, but I can see goals in this one. So I'm going to go with a 2-2 draw between the Mags and Liverpool. So those are my predictions for week 2 in the Premier League. If you have enjoyed, hit the like button for me. I know this is totally new to the channel. I don't usually do this. Like I said at the beginning, I always talk about Sunderland and Sunderland exclusively. So I thought I'd spread the love, hopefully. Of course, if I predict your team to lose, I do apologise. It is merely a prediction. Don't take it too seriously. But yeah, if you've enjoyed, hit the like button for me. Subscribe if you're new. But for now, take care. Away the lads.